This is your invitation to Launchpreneur Academy Live 2023 in Novi, Michigan, Saturday, November 11th. The lineup is power-packed. You won't want to miss it. Learn from incredible speakers like Leroy Maines, Keith Kalfas, Caleb and Brittany Allman, Sam Gimble, Weston Zimmerman, and Jeff Joyner, just to name a few. Tickets are on sale now, and hurry because seating is limited to just 300.
Hey, what's up? It's Keith Kalfas. Get your tickets now for the 2023 Launchpreneur Academy Live.
Once you purchase your ticket, you'll be added to our private Facebook group where you can network with other attendees, get access to the discounted hotel room block, and get the inside scoop for the Friday night party brought to you by Kohler. Thank you to this year's sponsors, Xmart, Sure Track Trailers, Yard Book, and Boss Snowplow for helping to bring this incredible event to life. We can't wait to see you November 11th, Novi, Michigan, at Launchpreneur Academy Live 2023. Get your ticket today at launchpreneuracademy.com or use the link in the podcast description. Launchpreneur Academy Live.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Adam Fullerton, how we doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much.
We're jumping right on into it.
Breathing a little heavy now.
I am breathing. You are or me?
Both
of us. We just lifted a mower into dude's tailgate, sold off a piece of equipment, which is nice. Put some cash in the pocket, which then just goes right back out to paying cash for stuff at the house. Money in, money out right now. But I said, hey, while you're over, I said, let's grab you for 20 minutes. Let's talk marketing, sales, branding, all things marketing. Is my friend Adam Fullerton would say with Branded Bull, and it always rises and falls in marketing and branding and everything you got going on. So what's going on, dude? How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on again. I feel like I'm kind of that.
We're both breathing heavy. So awkward introduction, but that's all I got right now.
Keep talking for a minute. I need to grab a water.
Like an 800 pound, well, I don't know, 500, basically three of us lifted it in. And the guy's like, hey, you want to lift this up? I go, I can call my brother to help us. He's 7 minutes down the road. And dude went and got cash at the bank, came back, and the thing was heavy.
Well, it's like, okay, everybody on three, and then you try to lift up the front. You're like, you know what? So I just lifted up the back, and I'm like, this immediately. I was like, well, this is heavy. And so then you guys are, trying to get the wheels in.
Just had to get one caster wheel on the tailgate, and we were like
one more inch. Come on.
And then it's like, I got it. And then you get the other side. Then we all jockey to the back.
Holy smokes!
But any which way. So folks doing the exact kind of stuff you guys are. I'm buying equipment. I'm selling equipment. My garage is turning into a makeshift rental house. It looks like, because we've got so much equipment in there. Actually, I got a couple videos coming this fall with a couple different brands that we do get to work with. By the way, for any of you guys that are showing a bunch of love on YouTube, you might be noticing a little bit more sponsored content the next 30, 60 days, the last 30 days. Fall is when all the new stuff comes out. So a lot of the brands wanted to reach out and partner up. And I am not going to turn down any of those sponsorship opportunities. I am building my house, my barn. Had baby number 2. I need money just like the next guy, you know.
He's a cute little dude.
What's that?
He's a cute little dude.
Oh, my little baby boy?
Yeah.
Crew? Yeah.
Crew.
You've seen him.
Well, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but not recently.
He smiles so much. It's insane.
He's a happy little dude, man.
Yeah.
He's been awesome. Life is good. So, like I said, when Adam came over, I said, hey, let's not to repeat myself, but I said, hey, let's do a quick podcast. Let's talk about latest and greatest. In fact, let's jump into it. Well, I always like to do this. Let me just give let's zoom out, Google Earth, 50,000 feet overview. What's your company background in case somebody missed the last couple of shows we've done with you guys?
Absolutely. We're Branded Bull, and we help build brands. And essentially what we do is we take companies and we elevate them, and we help them establish a professional look and a professional identity, and really help companies create relationships with their customers. So we've probably talked about this in the past, but companies, it's really, you have no connection with it. Brands are all about relationships and making sure people, when they see your company name, your business name, your logo, etc., it resonates and they say, oh, I know exactly what that company and that brand stands for and what I'm going to get from them. So it's about emotion, relationships, and that's what we do. We help companies transform everything into brands.
Well, and to be the brand that they want to be. Right. I mean, like that's one aspect of it. In fact, that's the pool guy just now. Actually, he might end up designing and building our pool. Really, really nice guy. He's like, yeah, I got a website. He goes, I put it together pretty quickly. He goes, it probably needs a refresh. He goes, give me your card, by the way. So, hey, drumming up business, beating the pavement. But he's like, I think you guys are launching the Almonds website any minute now? Or
we already launched it a couple of weeks ago at this point.
Oh, okay.
And you want to see something. Here's the thing. People say, I've got a website, and we talk about this, on the podcast. We've talked about this with many of our clients and customers.
Yeah.
Basically, they say, oh, I have this website. I did it through Wix, or I did it through Squarespace, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. And then we look at it and we say, it is, but there's a lot of room for improvement. And the Almonds was an example of that, a perfect example where they had a website, but the problem was that it wasn't matching the business they were trying to become.
Yeah.
So ultimately you say, hey, we're trying to, and I'm not using their exact words, but I'm trying to become this really nice, really premium, this premier looking business that does X, Y, and Z. Here's what you have to understand. In order to have that type of brand and that image, all of your marketing assets need to align with that and produce that same consistent look, feel, and message, right? It has to resonate in that way. So when they came to us, they said, hey, here's the business that we're trying to become. The website, it does its job, but it's not where we're trying to get to. So we need to match the website with where we're trying to get to. So we said, we got it. Of course, we go through the process, learn what they're looking for, et cetera, look at inspiration, get to work, boom. We launched it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's one of the nicest websites we have produced.
What is the website? Shout out to the Almonds. What's that?
Almondlandscape.com. If not, Google it. But I think it's almondlandscape.com.
Cool.
And so, the work that they do especially, it looks extremely nice. They've got amazing videos and photos. And so it's about making all of that come
cohesive.
to life. Right.
Yeah.
And when someone hits their website, like they see their truck, they see their trailer, or they're going to Google like we all do. They hit their website, immediately you're going to see how professional and premium their brand is. And so you want to convince people very quickly, if this is the type of work you want done, you've come to the right place.
That's awesome.
And so again, to bring this full circle, it's about making sure that all of your touch points match the brand, right? They look consistent, it's cohesive, and it matches and it truly represents the image you're trying to put out in the market.
Yeah.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does for me. I mean, I was on Caleb's podcast last Friday. I'm not sure when this comes out, but maybe a week or two back Friday on the Kid Contractor podcast. And Caleb and I were talking a little bit about everything, as we always do. But then we talked about branding. We talked about product. And I talked about, Caleb was asking, like, what is it, price? Is it like the psychology of a customer? We're talking price. We're talking product. We're talking experience. Like, what's the core tenet that people resonate to your brand? And I said, and he was asking me this question. I said, well, frankly, to me, it almost kind of starts with product. Mm-hmm. I said, like, because the product is what I want first. The experience is what I hope to have while purchasing the product, right? And like you said, the brand basically says, hey, here is our product. And so basically I said, like we were talking, he asked me about why did we pick the builder we picked? And I said, because I like this finished product. I said, when we sat down with our builder, Mike, at a Panera Bread, we had a good 3 hour, honestly, powwow, exploratory meeting. What are you looking for? How big is the home? What kind of finishes in the home? Like price point, budget, obviously, time frames, what's your lot look like? Do you have plans? We went through this whole, gamut. And then you realize what you got, what you don't got. Like you said, through that conversation, which is really, really fun. I mean, a lot of you guys, I would just say, myself included, you think you got it figured out until you sit down with somebody who's kind of a coach or a consultant or an industry expert in what they do. And then they realize, well, you do have some good things going on, but you got like a lot of blind spots. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what do you mean? Well, your landing pages are this, or your SEO is that in this example, or your SEO is not existent actually. Your friend that said he built those back end links, went through your website back in 2004, actually kind of left a couple key things out, or some things have changed.
Of course.
So we had this whole conversation about why we picked our builder, and the analogy I gave really quickly, and I'll kick it back to you, was we had taken about 5 to 10 photos of homes that we liked from Instagram, Pinterest, and then also locally. And I said, actually, we like this home, this home, this home, this home. And he's like, why do you like these homes? What do you like about these homes? Getting to know us a little bit more and diving a little bit deeper. What does that question even mean? What do those answers even mean? And then he kind of looks back and goes, I think we're going to be a good fit. And I go, why? He goes, well, because of the 5 homes that you showed me locally, I built 3 out of those 5. and the exact ones that we were liking. Like we liked elements of the other two, but the core three that we liked were the ones he literally had built.
That's
like
nice.
within the last 36 months. And we're like, actually two of them were right over here on Wall Lake. Cause like we walked, and used to drive around Wall Lake over there and ride our bikes. And so Liz and I always were like, look at this home. He goes, actually I built both of those homes. We're like, dude, this is our guy.
Yeah.
So to me, it goes back to product, right? And then we talked a little bit about Microsoft versus Apple. Apple people tell you that they have a Mac product. Microsoft people don't tell you that they have a Microsoft product.
nobody's proud of that.
But it was a really interesting case study. So to me, I said it always comes back to product. So I'm gonna actually volley this question back to you. Like, is it experience? Is it the final product? Is it branding exclusively to get them in first? Like, a couple different topics here. But what's your take on that whole conversation? Because to me, if you don't have a good company, landscape company, or you're not expressing that out to the general public, like that is the product. Beautiful striped lawns, beautiful hardscape patios, a nice pool that's getting done, a beautiful hedgerow, some before and after night shots, morning and night or day and night shots of your outdoor landscape lighting. If you're not leading with the product, then you can never get the customer experience because they're never going to pick up the phone call and start going through that customer experience. So there's black holes in all of that. But to me, it starts with product.
Well, you certainly can't have a phenomenal brand with a shitty product.
Sure.
Like you can try, but it will never equate to anything. It's just not how it works. You have to be good across the board. So the product has to be amazing one way or another, but that's just the beginning. Before that, you go up a level. You look at Apple, look at Ferrari. You understand immediately the emotional sense you get when you mention those two brands. Mm-hmm. You're going to get quality technology or whatever you want to call it for Apple. Ferrari builds amazing machines,
right?
And you're just the feeling, the rush you can immediately get in your blood when you hear Ferrari. You go, "Ooh, that would be amazing." That's a brand, right? Without a good car, Ferrari wouldn't be anything. It wouldn't matter. Without good iPhones and MacBooks and whatnot, Apple wouldn't be anything. Mm-hmm. So you have to have phenomenal product and service. But people go around and say, well, I just do great lawns. I do great pool installations, whatever it might be. That's awesome. And you should. But nobody, when they see your company name, does it resonate with them? Do they even care about your name? What does it mean to them? How does that emotion, kind of like that Ferrari where you get that little like blood flow, you're like, ooh, yeah, that'd be fun. Does anybody get the same thing from your business name or from your logo or from your trailer going by? That's what we're talking about. And of course, it's a lot different when you're small, maybe, local lawn care company versus Apple. But guess what? You got to start somewhere.
Right.
You have to think holistically and then work backwards. So if Apple does this, how do I do that? And part of that, of course, is branding. And it's making sure, again, that you're thinking about everything from your logo to the colors you use, the language you use, the font you use, and how all of this comes together and the cohesiveness, right? That starts to truly build that, that relationship in your customer's mind so that when they see your name, they say, oh, I know exactly what they stand for. Sure. That's what we're trying to establish when we talk about branding.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's, again, I think everybody listening in, we all have room for improvement about getting better at telling a story about who we are and what we can do for the customer. I mean, period, right? I mean, we all have the opportunity to get better. Even if you're like, no, dude, we're on this, like white on rice, there's always, of course, room for improvement. But I would say most of us, because we're so busy in the field, we're so busy making tall grass short, we're so busy doing landscaping, that things just fall to the wayside. There's just sometimes not enough time in the day. And that's why Branded Bull, for example, can come in as your marketing partner and really help with that brand messaging, right? And you can say, hey, dude, we'll take over that. Now, here's something like, I'll tell you guys real time. There's something that I'm doing. I'm dropping about $5,500 of my own money real time for my lawn landscape company. We hired videographers and editors to come in way out of state, actually friends of B&B Lawn Care. I said, I love what you're doing with your photography and videography. I need you guys to come on in, and I needed more social assets, more digital assets to be able to give a Branded Bull. Mm-hmm. So some of you guys, you could hire your friend. He's got a nice Sony camera, a nice Canon camera. And ironically enough, I actually have a lot of the tech, the hardware, the equipment to do this. I just don't film or shoot that way. Filming 10-minute talking head YouTube videos, hey guys, Brian here, Brian's Lawn Maintenance, trust you guys are doing well, is a lot different than creating a 60 to 90 second company sizzle reel where it's like an interview style, biopic where it's like, hey, my name is Ryan Fullerton. I started Brands on Maintenance, 17 years ago out of my mom's driveway. Today it's grown into X, Y, and then it's all B-roll. I don't film videos like that. I could, it would take a lot of effort, but it's not going to have the same tone as if somebody who creates those types of videos exclusively, which is what my friend Sam is coming in to do for us. I'm dropping $5,000 because I still want a sizzle reel for my actual Brian's Lawn Maintenance website. What is my website? brianslm.com?
You should probably know more than me, but yes, it's brianslm.com.
I literally don't check out my own website. I probably should. But I do like have a missing part there that I'd like to add, over the fall and winter, a sizzle reel, like talking head, 3-minute little sell video, basically. So when people go to the landing page, mine's very simple. It's one page, a couple small like links that you can click off to in a submission form. But really, when you hit that landing page, it's not going to be on autoplay. But as soon as you land there, I want a video that says, you see me, you see the guys, you see the trucks, and you go, yeah, that's our company.
Well, so something extremely interesting that we've learned over the course of between Lauren and I doing this for years and years and years for bigger brands is that it's very interesting to see how your customers resonate or look to connect with a small business versus a large business.
Sure.
For example, nobody cares about who's at Apple.
Right.
I couldn't care less.
There's no face.
Exactly. All I care about is the product. I want the iPhone because it's the coolest thing, whatever, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to who's going to be in my backyard or who's going to be in my front yard, who's going to be building that deck or who's going to be building that pool, I want to know exactly who they are and I want to learn as much as I can about them before I do business with them.
Right.
Apple's established. Don't care. We know what you're going to get. Everybody else, small business, I want to know who you are. I want to preferably see your face. I want to see your pictures. I want to see exactly of your finished work. And I want to see reviews of others who have hired you.
Yeah.
So when it comes to small business, face is everything. It means making sure that your imagery looks amazing. It's making sure that you come off as a very professional person that is trustworthy. And of course, you can do that through a video like you're talking about. You can do that through your pictures, through just the things that are on your website, through all of your marketing material, and so forth. So it's very interesting to look at the dynamic between
that's a big company
business versus small business.
And ironically enough, they're the ones that get away with murder too. The Targets, the Bud Lights,
of course,
the Deltas, the Apples. Go figure. Like they're faceless, but we all buy their product. Their product actually is pretty decent for what it's worth. The customer service experience usually sucks.
Sure.
Because, of course, they're maximizing profits over people, so they don't have 5,000 customer service reps anymore. They, offshore that to China, India, or, Philippines for, remote workers. And that's fine. That's their business model. But it's like, but they have a good product. They do get you to your flight destination. Apple does make a good product. Oh, it's not, it's 30% more money. Yeah, but it works. Like if you had to describe Apple, I said the same thing. Yeah, it's a little bit more and maybe a little less tech, but it works. It's cohesive.
When we were at, and we'll probably talk about this in a few, but when we were at LAL last year, I used a quote from one of the sales books that I thought was one of the best books I've ever read, and I highly recommend it. It's called Gap Selling, and it's by Keenan. And in this book, not the quote we talked about at LAL.
GAP, Gap?
Yes.
Gap Selling.
Gap Selling.
By Keenan?
By Keenan.
Okay.
Yep.
A lot of people will download that on Audible, so cool.
It just helps you understand sales and kind of what people are looking for and how to connect with them. But ultimately, one of the quotes in that book, which really opened up my eyes, was that he says, people always say, people buy from people that they know, like, and trust.
Sure.
We've all heard this a million times, and I was a big believer of it, and I still am. But he goes on to say, while that might be true, it's not the full truth. People buy from businesses that provide immense value. How many people don't like Amazon? How many people don't like Target? How many people don't like Apple? How many people don't like XYZ, but they still shop with them? Why? Because value. We might hate Amazon, but they get your stuff delivered in a day.
Yeah.
That means I might not spend all my money with them, but I'll spend, you know what? Oh, I got to order something quickly. I don't want to go to the store. I hate Amazon, but I'm going to order from them.
Yeah.
So it's about value, and it's conveying that value through all your different touch points, including your website, with your customer. Now, it also helps to know, like, and trust the people that you're doing business with. But look at it from a different perspective. Provide value. Go back to your point about product. Your product has to be the best, and it's going to provide value. That's a huge checkbox.
That's interesting.
Then go into people I know, like, and trust.
Well, to piggyback on that, I'm thinking two good examples in mower brands. Maybe this will relate to some of you guys listening in. Is because hyperbole is great. I like to quantify things. So look at Toro. Toro's like a $4 or $5, $8 billion lawn and landscape company, right? Wright Mowers, $50 million. I don't even know what Ed Wright does for revenue, but a lot of you guys know Ed Wright. Ed Wright, he's like the Elon Musk of like lawnmowers, I always say. Super smart dude. Some people don't like Ed because he's very opinionated. He's very technical. He is very, very smart. He makes a great product, A+ product. But he'll also dismantle why other products are subpar. And so some people just get butthurt because he'll destroy your mower brand, you know? He makes a mower brand called Wright Mowers. Anyway, if you guys go to Quip Expo, go to the Wright booth. Ed's there all day. Loves engaging in conversations with the end users, us guys that buy the mowers. But it's like Ed Wright is the face of Wright. Not only does it make a great product, but at least there's a face to the name. Mm-hmm. Hey, people don't quit jobs, they quit bosses. Right. So like you don't want to quit your mower brand because you'd be quitting Ed. But you can quit Toro tomorrow because you're like, who cares? There's no face of Toro. However, anytime I talk to somebody about mower brands, they go, well, there's the big players out there, the Exmark, the Ferris, the Skags, the Wrights, the Toros. And everybody always says, well, I mean, hey, Toro's Toro. Literally, that's how people say it. I've had 100 people say, yeah, well, Toro's Toro. Meaning it's a good product. It's expensive, but it's a good product, and they've been around, and they're doing $4 billion. Something's got to be right there. Sure. They're the Apple, I guess maybe of mowers, right? But we're not all apples, right? A lot of us, we're more Ed Wrights, like, and so it would behoove you guys, and I don't know that tipping point. That'd be another really great case study of like when you go from an Ed Wright to a Toro, when you go from hey, we're telling our story and our brand and our name, and you know the guy who started, that business.
I think, not to interrupt you, I think it happens when you start taking it seriously and not trying to be the expert in every single thing. Like you're not doing the video, you're hiring somebody. But in order to do that, you have to have the idea in your mind that I can't do everything and I'm not doing everything right. Mm-hmm. So what are these big companies doing and how do I do it at my level? So branding as an example, of course, we all understand Apple, Target, whatever. How do I do that for myself? Because you can, maybe you don't have the budget of millions of dollars, but you don't need the budget of millions of dollars.
Well, but let me push back on that because where I'm coming from is a little bit different. Is like until you could be a Delta, you do have to tell your story. You do have to be the face of your company
for sure.
So I'm wondering like when do you become like, the Six Flag guy jumping on the bus, the little old man dude, to like, hey, we're Cedar Point and we don't need a guy.
To me, I think
I don't know.
It comes down to I don't know the exact answer. What I think at least is that it kind of comes down to what kind of brand you're trying to build.
Yeah, long term. It's always product focused,
right?
I mean, you could say experience. To me, they're very similar. They are very distinct, but they are overlapping. Irregardless, none of us are there yet in that regard. Okay, like there's Brightview, there's United, there's a couple of the big dog companies, and people just know I need a site management company for my mall. Yeah. I'm going to call Brightview, and they're going to get that phone call 9 out of 10 times because they have a national presence, because they've branded themselves at that national level. I'd say let's ground it a little bit more to what we're all doing. I think what we all need to be doing at our level, my level, and maybe where some of you guys are at, I'd say maybe 0 to 10 million, at least 0 to 5 million. I just don't think you have enough regional brand presence to get that same phone call, like I was just explaining with a Brightview, to get the local mall, to get the local Amazon, to be like, oh yeah, you just built an Amazon fulfillment center, you call Tussey Landscape. I don't think most guys are going to get that brand until, and I don't know if it's a revenue mark necessarily, but it does coincide. It's probably $5 or $10 million regional company, maybe 50 million, to be honest with you, maybe 20 million. That being said, you better be really good at displaying your work, and if you could, add a face to the name, right? Because I think we're all doing at best, and you can chime in if you want, I think most of us are doing a pretty average job of explaining what we do, because it's visual in terms of photos and video these days. And I got people that are like, well, I filmed a little reel on my iPhone, and I'm like, hey dude, I love you, but like that looks like some pretty amateur stuff. Versus finding your friend that does videography, photography, and dropping $2,500 to $5,000. Folks, I'm 17 years into this thing. We've rebranded my company quite a bit the last 36 months. The last 12 months, I'm getting into more commercial, more HOA. That's where if I want to take my company to $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million, $5 million, maybe in the next 2 to 5, 10 years, what I'm currently doing is not going to get me there. I had realized 12 months ago, the kind of clientele I have. I need an entirely different clientele, an entirely different conversation. Hence, the first conversation started with, I need my external to start bringing in what I need, which means I got to look for a refresh there. Also, by the way, here's a quick little business case study. That happens with a huge internal conversation with your company, your people, your crew, your wife. Hey, where do we want to go? Do we want to start making big capital investments? Do we want to make sure do we want to not commit to any lifestyle change maybe for the next 2 to 5 years because we're going to be putting in every dollar back into this company to grow with personnel, people, a shop, equipment, right? So there's an internal conversation. And of course, the external conversation is like you saying to the marketplace, hey, we're in business to take care of your place. But I think, and I'm doing this right now. I just said, I'm dropping $5,000. It could be $1,000. It could be 10 grand, folks. It's not the $5,000, but that's just what it cost me to get that guy. I saw that guy, his product, right? His product and messaging was shooting video. And I'm sure there's 1,000 videographers between Michigan and Missouri that could have dealt with and built what I wanted, but I don't know their name. So when I saw that dude, I said, that's my guy. And he said, hey man, I'd love to help you, but I'm in Missouri. I said, yeah, and airplanes are $500 a ticket. What's your day rate? And you go, and I'm being big time, but I'm just saying whatever. It's an investment. I said, I shoot these things one time. I've got a whole bunch of social content. And of course I'm doing stuff for the actual business content. I said, I get one video, even if that video is $5,000, I got it for life. Yep. Of course, I'd like to spend $1,500. I'm a consumer, so I'm always looking for a deal. But I'm a business owner saying $5,000. Hey, at least it's not 10. 5 sounds pretty fair. I could do what they do. I don't have the time. I could do what they do. I just don't have the same exact expertise. That's my guy. So again, it leads with product. To me, my builder, and your website, when you launched Branded Bull, I said, that is exactly what I want. Totally lucked out that you decided to get into great niche, beautiful looking, high-end performing website design.
Exactly.
If you were building Wix stuff and cafe presses and blog websites, it'd be like, similar but different, kind of in the same silo. I can shoot video. My friend Sam can shoot video. Similar, but 1% difference. And I needed that 1% difference for what I wanted to do with my company. So I got Sam. Sam's coming over next week. Super pumped about that. I hope it delivers. I already tipped him 10% in advance. Going to tip him again another 10% when he's done. I'm hoping that product, right, helps me explain my product because I'm a very big product focused person. And that also overlaps with the customer experience. So just a little bit of a rant here, but it's very, very important to me that maybe just a quick takeaway, if you guys remember anything from this podcast so far is I would highly encourage you guys to spend some money on professional photography and videographer help because I don't think, as good as you guys are, I don't think anybody knows how good you guys are. That's what sucks. And your little iPhone on your little Instagram feed is not a great representation exclusively of what you guys do.
Well, it depends on where you are and where you're trying to get to. And if you think what you're doing now is going to get you to where you're trying to get to, you'd already be there most likely, unless you do have the actual formula.
What got you there won't get you here.
Exactly.
What the other way?
Got you here won't get you there.
Right.
Read that book, didn't like the book, but the concept is very powerful. But including the almonds, they didn't have all the imagery we needed. We just launched another website for Main Street Paving. Jamie Gaska over here out of Metro Detroit. He's a concrete, milling guy with his business. We just built his website and launched it this past Friday, I believe it was, and it looks amazing. But guess what he didn't have? He didn't have pictures. So that is part of the process that we go through, especially when it comes to websites. But this applies to all of your marketing materials. You should have professional photos and videos because guess what? The guy down the street, if his look like they're from an iPhone and yours look like you actually had a professional photographer come out.
And there's no comparison.
There is none. And guess what? Sometimes you need to invest in your business in that aspect to make it look different, to make it look better, to make it look more professional. Because if that's what your customer is expecting, but then they go and see everything looks like it's from your iPhone, guess what? There's a disconnect. You can't say I'm premium and professional and nobody can compare to us and then look like everybody else. Doesn't make any sense.
And your customer feels that.
Of course,
you
immediately.
feel that. I feel that.
Start planning today to celebrate the 40th Equip Exposition Trade Show this October 17th through the 20th in Louisville, Kentucky. Expo is the best place for landscapers to find the latest equipment, tools, and technology to get more productive and efficient. And then you can go into our 30-acre demo yard and test the products for yourself. Explore new business opportunities in one of our 50-plus education sessions and learn firsthand from experts in landscaping, hardscaping, irrigation, pool installation, tree care, and outdoor lighting. And don't miss the new Thursday night arena concert with Third Eye Blind and Dylan Scott. Also, there's our UTV test track and our main stage events with top-notch speakers like Ryan Fullerton. And remember, you can save 50% on the ticket price with Brian's discount code. We've provided a link for you in the show description. See you at Equip.
Look, $5,500 could have got me a Breitling Super Ocean 42. Love it. Okay.
Is that lawnmower?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh.
But look, I'm a big watch guy. I'm like everything. I think in quantifying watches. I'm like, that's a Hublot. That's a whatever. I could have got this. That's a Spirit of Big Bang. I'm like, you're killing me, Smalls. I'm like, that's an Audemars. Look, I like the nice things, folks. I want to get the nice things. But if you get a watch and you don't get a website, you'll never get more watches. But if I buy $5,000 worth of videography, that not only will get me my $5,000 back, it'll make me $500,000 to $5 million in the next 10 years. Again, it's sow a seed, reap a harvest. It's not reap a harvest and then sow a seed. Okay, folks? So if you sow, it'll multiply. You harvest, sow a little bit more of that, multiply, reap a harvest. It's seed time, harvest time. It's all delay the good for the great. It's delayed gratification. And some of you guys are like, hey, my first website, it's kind of mediocre. My Google listing, it has iPhone photos. Bro, that's awesome. Like, that's the ante. I'm not putting anybody down.
Start where that's where you're at. Yeah, exactly.
That's where you start. But when you start churning and burning, you get some money coming in. Like, what's the first thing I buy? New leaf blowers, new zero-turn mowers, baggers, debris loaders, hedge trimmers, FERT stand-on machines, stand-on mowers, all that mess. But don't forget your front handshake to the general public, which is your postcards, your yard signs, your website. Like, and again, I want to go buy nice things. I got people out there. Fullerton, you're in the watches. I'm in the watches. Dude, check out this new Shinola I just bought. I'm like, that's awesome. And I go to their website and it looks like shit. And I'm thinking to myself, listen, dude, you buy the nice, stupid stuff after you've already invested into all the other aspects of your business until you can no longer figure out how to get like what more juice out of the squeeze.
Yep.
I'm like, what are you doing? Hey, man, I bought these Yeezys. Hey, man, I bought this F350 diesel, whatever. It's $90,000. I'm like, what are you doing?
That's funny.
Like, what are you doing?
Certain time and place, but I can also say, you know what? You can probably invest a few $1,000s and get 10 times the revenue every single year for the next 10 years with something like a website.
Dude,
so
for sure.
You tell me which one's more important. Yeah, you want the truck or whatnot right in the beginning, but guess what? In the long term, and this is kind of, hopefully to your point, you're missing out on the long-term grand scheme of things when you invest into the right thing.
Sure.
In that, have that delayed gratification, so to speak, and don't worry so much about those cool shiny objects that just slow you down.
Yeah, and or less, unless you have a small vision, and I say that with love and respect to somebody who just wants a small company. That's fine. Like if you're like, hey, I tap out at 50, that's all I need, that's all I want. My website's maximized. I'm gonna go buy dumb stuff. Bro, I love you. Let me know when you get the cool dumb stuff. I'm a big fan. I want the cool truck. I want the watch. I want a helicopter. I want all the cool stuff just like you guys. Dude, you get some cool, Magnani, dress shoes and they're $300. Bro, I love you. Awesome. Like, cop the cool things after you've paid dues. And respectfully, I just don't know any way or shape or form, any other nicer way to say it. Just real talk, which we do on our podcast, real talk. I just don't know how you're going to get to altitude within less than 5 to 10 years. Without making those investments, you shouldn't be driving and buying the nicer, cooler things just yet. From clothes to cars, I have Amazon Essentials and free shit that I get from all the brands. All my shirts, my shirts are $20. I got this Cujo shirt on. It's a free swag shirt. I'm not buying. I don't even know any brands, bro. That's how like stupid. Like Liz and I have a subscription to the Rob Report that she got me. It's like the luxury clothing brand. And just yesterday, we're kind of cleaning up the house a little bit because we're moving in a month. And she goes, do you want these? I go, honestly, no. I said, like, any of the stuff in there, I said, it's at our pay grade or above. But frankly, like, I just don't have any priority in investing or buying any of that stuff or expending expenditures on it. I said, because we're such in a growth mode of reinvesting. I said, like, what do I want? Some like $900 cigar cutter? I mean, because that's like the kind of stuff. What do I want? Some like $600 Scotch glasses, or so I literally some $4,000 ice pick for like to block off a chunk for your Scotch. what the hell? Who's buying that stuff? Like, dude, if you're buying that stuff, you better be worth like 8-9 digits, because there's nobody that's making investments into their company that's buying that kind of stuff out of that magazine right now.
Do you think, because we've all gone through this where you're trying to impress everybody else, right? You want to make sure that you look cool and you've got the latest everything, you've got the nicest car, and you want everybody to be jealous of you. And we all go through that phase one way or another. But do you think that is a big component of why people are immediately trying to, I guess, short term get the nice shiny object to impress everybody else, and then ultimately not reinvest in their business?
I teach their own, man. Like, I've went through the buying things phase. Liz and I, like, the last couple of years, did buy a couple things. I've got quite a bit of money in watches that are set aside that I've picked up, and frankly, I haven't worn a single one of them. My nicest ones to my second nicest to my third nicest, I haven't worn them in 2 years, 3 years. Literally.
It's like
not even once.
But people want, I guess even in my own experience, it's like you want the things that you can't have. So then once you can actually get them, you finally want to get them. So you get them, but then
they're hollow. They're so hollow.
Yeah. A week later, you're like, okay, cool. Like, that's a novelty. And then it wears off.
Look, I got them because I promised myself I worked hard to get them.
Yeah.
So I made sure that I bought them.
Fair
enough, for real. Liz and I bought, I have a Hublot that I bought. And you know what? It was something that I had spent 10 years working towards with my business. It took me almost 13 years to get. So I didn't buy it for quite a while, obviously. We just weren't in the financial position. And it's a stupid watch. It's like, frankly, like if I could get my cash back for it, I'd probably sell it tomorrow. Because I just don't wear it. I don't even care.
Right.
But I had worked my guts out so much that when I was finally able to get it, I made sure that myself got it. Because I told Liz, I said, dude, that's such a stupid investment. I said, it's whatever. Let's say it's 10 grand. I said, that's such a dumb buy. And Liz goes, you literally need to buy it. She goes, I will not let you not buy that. Because we set a goal. We set a financial goal to have money in the bank, a certain level of our company, a certain cash flow coming in, blah, blah, blah. It was a calculated purchase. And she's like, and I'm like, I don't even want it. She goes, sorry, wrong answer. You 5 years ago were working your butt off, not sleeping. You work until 3 a.m. Like you owe it to yourself. Then you get it and you're like, yeah, it is cool. It's nice. It's nice to have. But I asked the same thing with Corey Ballard, my friend Corey Ballard. He's like, dude, they're all hollow. He goes, all the Porsches, the watches, he goes, it's all hollow. He goes, you realize at the end of the day, it's always about your legacy, making an impact and helping people. And what's Corey right now? The dude just sold his company off. What's he doing? Starting another company. It's been going for 20 plus years, Ballard Products. But he's taking it to the next level. Just dropped, $500,000 on a new website. He's got 8 to 10 full-time guys. He's offering on benefits, great pay, all this mess. Like, that's his next baby, which is his real call, his real mission that he's matured into is employing people, giving people opportunity, giving people jobs, growing the community, helping his customers have a better, better. He sells lawnmower blades, catchers, all that mess. Like, that's his passion, right? So kind of shifted gears a few minutes back if you can't tell, but like, you can buy that stuff, but please reinvest first. And I always, the whole fake it till you make it thing, like I will tell you 100% it doesn't work. I'm not opposed to like affirmations and having dream boards and goal cards. I'm like the proponent of that, but you will quickly realize that like anybody I did a whole podcast episode a couple years ago. It was a really, really good podcast. I forget the episode and the number and the title, but the point was, when you're on the highway, here's the last thing I'll say about this, and I'll kick back over to you. The last thing I'll say is, when you're on the highway, you don't see Lamborghinis passing you in the fast lane. You pass Lamborghinis because they're in the slow lane going 65 on a 70. The people who pass you on the fast lane are the Corvettes and the Mustangs. They're the ones trying to impress upon you that they have it going on. Mm-hmm. They're the loud, obnoxious cars. Lamborghinis, by nature, by default, are the loud, obnoxious cars. And where do you normally see them? Chilling at a red light. Rev it, man. No, man. It's all good. They're going 65 on the slow lane. They're parked at a car meet. And then they just tool it back to their garage. They're not like your Instagram highlight reel where you see Mustangs and Corvettes and, these cars that are souped up making loud, obnoxious noise for what? Views and attention. People who are wealthy, they don't want views. They don't want attention. They don't want fame. Do you know what I'm saying? So like it goes full circle to like, if you're trying to, I try not to ruffle feathers here, but it's like you want to be the slow guy in the Lamborghini, knowing that you got money in the bank and your car's worth 20 times what these cars are, right? Like Liz and I realized a couple years back, probably 3-4 years back, like, look, it's what we're doing behind the scenes, what we have in the bank behind the scenes. what we have in relational equity with each other, spiritual foundation with each other, like that's the real win. That's the real dub. And everybody in your 20s, 30s, 40s is so impressed with, you know, buying things they can't afford with money they don't have to impress people that they don't know kind of stuff. And you realize like, dude, that's super shallow. So like in one side, you want the nice things, but then you realize you get the nice things and you don't even care about them. Or number two, like it's just more for like a personal dub than it is to like be expressive with it. When I got my first watch, I was like walking around and I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I literally haven't worn it in 3 years because I don't even care. Right. Because I'm more concerned about the impact I'm making on folks, the infrastructure I'm building with my company, and having a baller savings account. Like to me, that's way more impressive than, you know, having some badass Mustang in the driveway that's all 500 horsepower. Now, do I want that? For sure. Do I want to get an Audi R8 one day or a Porsche, you know, 911 GT3 RS like everybody else? Sure. But that's when you have like more money than brain cells because you're just so wealthy.
Yeah.
And it's 0.1% of your income versus spending 40% of your income on something like that.
Yeah, and to get to that point, you had to go through the I don't know if the right term would be like the selfish phase, where you're saying to yourself, I want everything for me. I want my watch. I want this. I want that. And like
it's the ego death that everybody talks about.
Right.
You have to go through the ego death.
You can do it yourself. Right. You do it yourself one way or another, or you can obviously listen to podcasts like this and learn. Hey, again, learn from my mistakes, at least try to mitigate it. Maybe you don't go 100% what you did, but if you can stop somebody and get them, you know, 60% through that selfish phase where they didn't spend twice as much and then get to the same spot. It's like,
I've spent money. I'm fine with admitting that, like you just said. Do I wish I would have took a little bit more and put it more towards investing for the future? Yeah. I mean,
there's a balance there. You got to make yourself happy one way or another.
I don't think Liz and I like bought anything, obscene or whatever they call it. Like we haven't. I mean, frankly, like the first nice thing that we bought was our, red, you know, F-250, but I could have bought an XL or a lesser trim, but I mean, the difference there is $5,000 to $10,000. It wasn't like, you know, we went, and
double
bought,
or nothing.
Yeah. It's not like we went some like $100,000 vacation or something like that, or bought some like $50,000 watch. I would never do that kind of stuff. And I don't think most people are doing that, but it does go full circle to like your brand. What is your brand about? Like your brand wants to exude confidence and a great quality product and a piece about yourself. And like, hey, we can do this and we'll take care of you. And you want to be known as the guy. Frankly, you are the product too. Like when you're talking to someone at a backyard patio and they say, hey man, I'm looking for a patio to know somebody. They go, yeah, I know a guy. That's my favorite line. I know a guy.
Yep.
The second favorite one is, are you on the list? Yeah, I'm on the list. Hey, are we on the list for spring cleanups? Hey, are we on the list for fall, for snow or whatever? You know, yes, you're on the list. Those are like my two favorite things. Yeah, I know a guy. I know I'm the guy because I went to a customer once, trying to send his credit card on file link. He was a little older, couldn't figure it out. But in my phone, I'm Brian, the lawn guy. Mm-hmm. Like I know a guy. You need a lawn guy? I know Brian the lawn guy. That's how it was saved in his phone as a contact, which to me like means I got a guy. And so I love that because I know a guy for pools. I know a guy for websites. I know a guy for accessories. I know a guy for pools. I know a guy for snow. I know a guy for outdoor living spaces. I know a guy for small landscape spaces, right? I know a guy. So like you're the product, your website's the product, your business is the product, but we got to get better at, what do they say? Facts tell, story sell. Like you all factually are doing really, really good at what you do, but how many of your customers again know that? What's the story there? Right. So we all have to get better at crafting and telling our story. And that comes through better photography, better videography. Another thing you could get really good at is copywriting. Some people understand what that is. Some people don't. Copywriting is just words that are your paragraphs, your story form, the narrative on a website. You guys ever been down these like, you know, penny pyramid scheme websites at late night at 10 o'clock at night and you start scrolling. It's like, I was broke. I was a loser. And dude, it's like literally 100 paragraphs deep and you get to the end. It's like, sign up for my penny pyramid, no start, you know, and you're like, this is such a scam. So stupid. But bro, you're invested 15 minutes into reading this stuff late night on Instagram or, you know, social media or something like that. And you get to the end and you go, man, I really empathize with this guy. How that all exists because it works. Or you see a Facebook ad with all the gurus, you know, that was big the last 36 months. All the gurus that'll teach you like FBA, fulfilled by Amazon, FBA, drop shipping thing. And it's like, you go to these Facebook, they get you at the Lambo. Then they've got, you know, 6 paragraphs worth of like, I was a loser. Then I found this. I did this, it changed my life, and I'm helping people now too.
Well, it's their brand, right? They've established an identity in your mind, and you've drawn an emotional connection. I want that. I want the lifestyle that they have.
The Lambo hooks, yeah.
Exactly.
Like, but that 4 or 5 paragraphs is called copy. So if you guys want to study anything, there's a lot of great copywriters, legends out there. Like, I've studied copywriting. Like, I told my kids, but I'm going to tell my kids, like, they need to get good at communicating, presenting, cold calling, selling. They need to get good at writing, right? Like, you got to get good at being a good copywriter, because of course you need a practical skill set. Like, if a nuclear bomb drops, hey, I can cut hair.
That's practical.
That I mean, that, or like, hey, I'm good at building things.
Yeah.
Like if they're picking teams, in the leftover aftermath of the world, you better be able to bring a skill set to the table. Hey, I'm a framer. Hey, I'm a drywall guy. So like, I want my kids to be able to have like a practical skill set.
Yeah.
Like, the girls can cut hair, the guys can like frame a house, because like there'll always be a need for housing if like a nuclear bomb drops. Okay, like real talk. But like, eventually you got to get good at building teams, selling, casting a vision, organizing people talent, capital talent, right? So like, that's the leadership side of things too. So this podcast got really heavy, like about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, right.
But it's all branding. It's all branding. Like, the people you follow on social media, you like them because of what they exude as a brand, and maybe even who they are as a product.
Well, again, it's the emotional connection you have with a company, and that company could be a person. It could be 500 employees, or it could be 50,000 employees, like Apple, or however many.
You could have a connection with a product too.
Of course. Ultimately, I think that people need to understand, and maybe the biggest takeaway here is that your product is one piece of the overall puzzle.
Yeah.
You can cut great lawns, or you can install great shrubs, or whatever it might be, but that's just one piece of your puzzle. There are so many more pieces, and you have to look at it again holistically. You have to understand that everything down from your business card to the way your truck looks, to the way your website looks, to the way that you
to
talk
your handshake,
to people,
to your handshake.
Exactly. It's all branding. And branding is just a very umbrella term, but you have to understand all of these pieces fit together. And if you're trying to establish a professional, premium, premier brand that it conveys certain emotions, then you have to consider every little piece that we're talking about.
Yeah, leave no stone unturned.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Here's the last 2 things I'll say, and I'll give you a final thought after that. This has been great. I think this is a lot of fun. I think this is a very substantive conversation. 2 things I'll say. 1, if a tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear it, did it fall? Did it make a noise? Right? Like, so you can make tall grass short, and you can do the best landscape install, and you can pack them and go, man, that's awesome, and walk away and go, man, that customer's happy. Customer's happy. High five, man. Hey, when we open up the grand patio, we want to bring you out here. We'll have a little dinner thing back, wine hors d'oeuvres. It's going to be awesome. We're going to bring the whole community, all our friends and family. Awesome. But if you don't video it, if you don't photography it, if you don't capture it, what sound did the noise of that falling tree make?
None.
It's pointless.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so if you're trying to build a brand and get customers on that other mess, like, if you don't capture it, it didn't happen, right? What do they always say? Like, Pixar didn't happen.
Yeah,
that's what you was texting me.
Yeah.
Number two. Last one.
Only when you say you're running a 5K.
I'm gonna run. Are you gonna run the 5K?
No.
Shut up, dude. Are you for real?
No, I can't.
Why?
Plantar fasciitis.
What does that even mean?
It's not fun. It's left heel. It's like.
Are you
it's
serious
like
right now?
On a thumbtack.
It's. Are you for real right now?
I'm for real. I can't run right now.
Adam's my brother, just so you guys know. You cannot run. You're using a medical disability. You sound like Jeremiah Jennings right now.
I could. Yeah,
his was narcolepsy.
I'll do anything else.
He falls asleep.
I'll bike it. I'll row it. I'll swim it.
What's up, guys? Top of the morning to you. My name's Weston Zimmerman. I'm one of the founders of Synced Up, and I can't wait to be in Michigan in November at Brian's Lawntrepreneur event, and I hope I get to see you there as well. I am going to be sharing a lot of the lessons I've learned or the observations I've made from helping a bunch of business owners know their numbers and fix their pricing and ultimately help them be profitable in their businesses, which lets them thrive with their teams and families instead of just barely surviving or just barely getting by. Make sure you grab your ticket. One of the best investments you can make is into yourself, and those investments will pay off for the rest of your life. Don't let the left brain kick in and say it's not worth $100 or $200 or the day to go up there and do it. Just do it. And even better if you can take your guys along. I worked for a company called Texas Landscaping for 15 years. And one of the best things about my time in my career there was how they invested into me as an employee. And it changed me forever. Like, if they had not done that, I would not be here and I would not be on stage in November. So let's see you there.
You can't run?
No.
Can you walk?
I can walk, but I'm not walking a 5K. That like I would miss all of Equip if I walked the damn 5K.
There's some older ladies there that were walking in 50 minutes, 60 minutes. You legit have a plan. I
can't.
Are you serious?
Legitimately.
So when I re-challenge you to Murph next May, you're
I'll
like,
still destroy you though,
dude. Like last time,
yeah, here we go. Here we go.
I beat you by.
Let's sink to the bottom.
I beat you by 8.
Sink to the bottom.
I'm floating to the top, dude.
Hey, as long as however you get yourself to the top. If you want to put people down to get yourself to the top, go for it.
What? I parachute dropped in on this mug. I was like a paratrooper coming in. Just say I was behind enemy lines fighting the Nazis over here. Okay?
This is where your listenership, the retention rate is going to go through the roof now that we got into the
banter, the bickering. Every time you guys, what was the story you were saying earlier when people call you?
Every single time when someone reaches out and they're like, oh, we heard about you on Brian's podcast, and we get them on the phone, they're like, oh yeah, I was listening to episode 286 and you guys were telling each other jokes and you called Brian a girl and blah blah blah. I was like, yep, sounds about right. And he's like, oh, I love it.
It's like me and my brother.
Yep,
that's what everybody says.
Exactly.
That's how you guys know it's real. The last thing I'll say was another one. Like if the tree falls in the woods and nobody's around to hear a sound, doesn't make a sound, whatever. That's the joke.
Yeah.
I heard one. It was like if a man says something and his wife's not around to correct him, like is he still wrong? So, did you ever hear that one?
No, but I get the joke for sure.
It's like that's actually really funny. So that's what I got for my last 2 key golden nugget takeaways. So anyway, guys, get better at your videography, photography. For real, those are some takeaways. Like, have a better product, of course, number 1. But number 2, let people know that it exists. And then think about, as you're going around, like, be a people watcher. Like, look at yourself as you go through the whole customer buying experience, or why do you book with Delta when United is right next to it? Why do you like certain experiences at the mall? Why do you shop at Nordstrom and you hate, going to Target? Why do you go to Nordstrom's and not Macy's? Right? Why do you go to Neiman Marcus instead of Nordstrom? I mean, like, there's a reason there. Like, psychoanalyze yourself as you go through life experiences. I do that all the time. What do I like about this? Why? I like the way they make me feel. I like how they bring the little bag to the side. They don't just hold it over the counter like at Macy's. They bring it to the side at Nordstrom. Like, what can you do to differentiate that customer experience? Do you touch base more? Is your draw system better? Like, is your product portfolio better? Do you have an iPad where the last guy had little paper sketches? Right? Like, these are all things that you can think about helping with your marketing and branding as you guys continue to build your company. I will tell you guys, I said this in the last podcast that we did about maybe a month ago. I said, this is the pixie dust, this is the glue, okay, that pulls this all together. This is that slight edge. Jeff Olson wrote a book called The Slight Edge, or The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. These are those little nuances that compounded over time, 5, 10 years, not immediate dividend, but 5, 10, 20 years. This is the stuff that pays the dividends where your competition can't catch you. They cannot even hold a candle to you. And they're like, well, we have a website and you have a website. Yeah, but you have a 3D builder tool. They don't. Yep. These are all these little nuances that pay big dividends that stack up over time, the slight edge, the compound principle, okay? And these are all the things that I promise you, the goods are doing this, but the greats are heavily invested in this. And the goods are like, yeah, I do. I got Google reviews. Yeah, but the other guy has got Google reviews, and then he's also got reviews on Yelp too. Yeah. It's the +1, and that's business. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there. And some people are like, man, this just seems like a lot to do. For sure. Of course it's a lot to do. But the greats are doing this stuff. They're paying attention to this stuff. And it's not just osmosis that your business grows, or you just get lucky, or say, oh, good luck. That guy got a major break or a major deal. I assure you he did at one point in his life, but it's the other micro improvements, that the 0.01% that nobody think matter, right? That nobody think matters, that he's been making those little 1% improvements for his business for 5 or 10, 20 years that eventually do put him in the position to get those breaks. Right. But if you don't pay attention to it now, you won't get it later. It's like, it's the parable of the talents, right? Like, who much is given, much is required, and much is going to be added on to that person as well. And you're like, well, how does that guy get the big breaks? Because he took the small breaks serious. He optimized his website. He took better photos. He cared. He understood Lightroom and presets and photos and how to frame a shot, right? Like, you have to spend time being intentional on this kind of stuff. Okay. So, and I just I'm a little hardball on our podcast sometimes because people just think it's something for nothing quite a bit. And I'm like, it's not like that. The greats are putting in work. They're strategizing. They're putting pen to paper. They're putting an actual game plan together on how to execute on what we're talking about. They're not just like, great podcast. All right, I'm going to go to the next podcast. It's like, no, dude, if you didn't take 4 or 5 notes and takeaways from this thing, why even bother? Right. I say that all the time in podcasts. Why even bother? Okay, so I'm a little bit more tough, a little bit more hardball, but I always say, I say it this way because I love you and I want you guys to grow. I want you to have better companies, better. I'm making investments. If I'm making investments, I guarantee you, more than likely, you could probably be making investments too. Okay. Stop buying the stupid stuff. You don't need it. As somebody who's bought some of the nicer stupid stuff, I promise you, it's nice to have. You don't need it. It's not going to make or break your life. I'm more excited about the opportunity I give my guys and the savings account that I can give, reassuredness to my wife and then eventually to my kids. Like those are two things that I feel way more confident about than how many dumb watches you have, how many trucks you have, or how many Yeezys you have. Okay. Or what brand you're wearing. Couldn't care less.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a great point.
I just get so fired up. This is our 20-minute show that of course turns into an hour.
I was like, you're on fire. I'm letting you do your thing.
I guess, whatever. I just, I eat, sleep, and breathe. I love talking sales and marketing. Yeah. I've been doing it for 20 years. And people are like, oh, he's lucky. I'm like, it must be nice. We were talking about that earlier. Must be nice. I'm like, I get that very rarely, but the must be nice. If you say that to a winner, you're going to get chokehold, bro. Like, don't say must be nice to a winner. It's the worst thing you could say because that dude hasn't slept for a decade.
It undermines all of your work.
Yeah. It's like, just say you didn't want to pay the price. Just say you didn't want to pay the same dues. You know what I mean? Just be honest. Must be nice.
Yeah.
The title of the podcast, must be nice.
Yeah. I mean, summarize everything. My takeaway here is that every single touch point you have with your customer is branding. And you have to truly understand that.
Here's your level-headed answer. It must be branding, marketing. Like you're calm.
I mean, I'm like, right. Oh yeah, that's you're fired up. I'm going to bring it down a notch. But I think it's just important to understand that every single thing you can do to understand where your customer is coming from and what they're trying to get from you and your business, you have to consider that. And that goes from, again, every single piece of collateral you put out there to even, like you said, the experience you get at Macy's or Nordstrom when they walk around the counter and give it to you. I mean, it's all part of the same thing. It all builds together into this thing called a brand. The product, the service, the touch points, everything. So you really just need to understand that and then look at improving every single one of those touch points. Some are more important than others in the beginning. Some are going to help you produce leads like a website. Some will produce better retention, whatever it might be. There's various different things you can discuss. But ultimately, you have to think about it holistically, like I've said a few times. You have to understand every single touch point is an opportunity to make a sale or make someone stay better. And if you do that over the course of a long term, you're establishing a brand in people's minds. And when they see your logo, they see your name, they see your video, whatever it might be, they get an emotional response. And hopefully it's positive, not negative. And then they say, I want to go back and do business with you.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. That's great. And by the way, you could do a whole inverse podcast episode on everything we just talked about, like what you don't like. We're talking about what we do like.
And don't look at Bud Light.
Yeah, don't look at Delta last 2 weeks. I mean, there's dozens and dozens of brands. Kodak. We don't want to change. We don't want to. For all of you guys who are like, yeah, I listen to this and I'm doing pretty good. What have you changed? Nothing. I'm doing good. I'm stagnant. I'm flatline, dude. If you're not growing, you're dying. Nature, by definition, is growing or dying. So if you're flat, you're going backwards. You don't know that, but you are. I promise you. Kodak, we're fine. Digital cameras, that's kind of weird. We're fine. We're at. We like film. 100-year legacy brand. Gone.
Yep.
And I don't know if Canon bought them. I don't know if Kodak rebranded and they're kind of doing some digital stuff. But Kodak went bankrupt. 100-year Eastman Kodak, 100-year-old company, whatever it was, 50-year-old, maybe 200-year-old company. I don't know. But they went bankrupt because they didn't change. They didn't innovate.
Yep.
And other companies said, we'll be hot. We'll be new. Digital, this sounds good to us. The industry changed, right? It's like, I don't know. I just think some people, again, must be nice. Like, if you don't want to innovate, you don't want to change, that's fine. And that's why, for some of you that are addicted crackheads like myself about learning about business, like that's why this conversation is so fun, so exhilarating. You can't get enough of it. Because it's a game of like 1%. It's like little percentage points.
Well, like we said, what got you here won't get you there. So if
new
you
levels, new devils.
If you continue to do the same thing over and over and over, that's fine. It might get you to a certain level, but after that, what happens next? You're either, like you're saying, you're growing or you're dying. And, I forget the author of the book, but only the paranoid survive. It's always in the back of my mind. So I always believe someone's coming for my lunch money. And as a result, it's like when you sit there and it's late at night, you're like, I'm going to go flip through the reels on Instagram, or maybe I should send one more email.
Yep.
Because that one little email over the course of 365 days is 365 more efforts that you're putting in to the next person.
Yeah, and by the way, last thing I'll say, last thing I say, I wrap up like Joel Osteen. Fa la la. It's almost Christmas, like 65 days or something. But there's like 5 or 6 good books that we dropped. People are always like, hey, what's a good book read? I'm like, we just talked about Slight Edge, Compound Effect,
Gap selling.
There's
Only the Paranoid Survive.
Yeah, like these are books that like, I mean, I eat, sleep, and breathe. These are underlined, earmarked. 5 different highlights in my book collection. You know, like people are like, oh, you know, how do you know this stuff? I'm like, I read all the time. The Buy Back Your Time book with Dan Martell lately, great read. This stuff doesn't just come intuitively to you. And there's a lot of psychology and a lot of great business stuff that you guys can learn. So I just implore you to always be a student of this kind of stuff. I know a lot of you guys are. That's what I got. Our podcast, not bad for 20 minutes in and out.
Yeah, I mean, we put on stairs and you're like, 20 minutes. I'm like, you know what? I got a call in a little bit, so we're gonna see how long this goes. Yeah,
good luck with that. That's what everybody says. 20 minutes. That's Fullerton, Latin for Fullerton for an hour.
Just imagine when I say I'm gonna be late 20 minutes. Usually an hour behind because we haven't even left yet.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. All right. Websites. Hey, I was like, hey, let's get you in talking about Equip Expo. I was like, that actually was the theme of the conversation. But you guys are going to be at Equip. You're going to be at LAL.
Yep. We'll be at both conferences. So we've got a lot of people that we're already working with that say, hey, you're going to be at Equip, be at LAL. Love to come talk with you guys. And at the end of the day, like if anybody's listening this far into the podcast and getting some good laughs and nuggets of information, we're here to help. If you have a question, just reach out to us. We get messages on Instagram through our website all the time. People don't know what they don't know, so they're just looking for any sort of insight.
Sometimes you don't know until you start asking, what do I not know?
You don't know what you don't know. You don't know until you ask the questions and get the information. It's very simple.
I know that.
People... Anyway, if someone has a question...
It's too easy not to do.
Please reach out. We're happy to help, even give you some, a consultation, whatever it is that we can do to help you get to where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
We're here as a resource.
Yeah,
even if we don't work together, it doesn't really matter.
Adam's a much easier conversation listener type. I'm more of a chip on my shoulder, prove you wrong type. But there's a little bit of both of us of that in both of us to a degree because you want to win, you want to grow.
Yeah,
I can't be the only one out there racing a sports car.
I'm more calm on the podcast. That's all.
I get questions all the time, and I'm like, did you not go back to the 550 episode library? Did you not go at the 1100 YouTube video content? I'm not ungrateful. Obviously, that person's reaching out, but I'm just like, hey man, I want a nice truck and I want 10 grand a month in guaranteed income. I'm like, me too. How long you been in business? Well, I haven't even started yet. I'm like, dude, you got to walk before you can run. Okay. Right. And everybody wants it overnight. And I'm just like, I'm 17 years in this thing. Caleb and Bernie, I'm 20 years into this thing, just getting their updated website. You know what I mean? Like, folks, it doesn't happen overnight. That's the most alarming thing is that you think that success is just owed to you in 2 to 5 years and $100 grand a year income. I'm like, no. And then you meet somebody who's making $500,000 a year and has an infrastructure, has a real company, and then you get around and you go, yeah, that guy's lucky. I'm like, or it must be nice. And I'm just thinking to myself, you have no idea that guy had an ulcer, a heart attack. He had, Crohn's, he had this, he had a divorce, and one of his kids hates him. It doesn't have to be that image. Okay. And that's why we have a lot of great people coming into LAL that are, swinging 9s out of 10s. But like, you don't know that the guy that's got $100 million, oil pipe business or makes elevators, you don't know that guy's had 3 wives. Like, irregardless of that respect of his relationship, like the guy's paid dues for 30, 40 years.
Every business started from nothing.
Right. And but you owe half of it if you're Obama, because the government helped you do it.
Let's not make this a 2-hour podcast.
No, that's a great another podcast for another hour for another time. But it's like, you got to respect these people more than people are giving credit in the general populace and the marketplace about these industry titans and stuff like that. And I'm not saying like you guys listening and don't do that. It's not like that. It's just, in general, I'm so humbled by these folks out there, these people that we do get to get, by you guys listening into the show, I get to get around you guys. And I'm just like, dude, that guy's got it going on. That guy makes me want to be a better person. And that's why I'm just like honored to just kind of be stewarding of the podcast. Cause I'm doing the same thing you guys are doing. The same thing Liz and I talk about on the podcast, or Adam and I just talked about on the podcast. Like Liz and I are doing this every day. I'm like, there goes a $5,000 hit. Do I want to drop 5 G's on new video, new audio, photos? No, but I'm like, we do need a big refresh and a big rebrand. I do need some more content, some more digital assets, blah, 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 which is, photos and videos. So we're making those same investments.
We're doing it ourselves, not to cut you off. We're going through a full rebrand ourselves because where we are now isn't where we're trying to get to. And so we're going to keep our logo and various things, but just as a professional branding company, we're going through a rebrand.
Ironically
Why?
enough.
Yeah, ironically enough. Why? Because what got us here won't get us there.
Yep.
And that's it. It's a simple concept.
I love it. It's no stagnation. All right. That's what I got. Go to, what's your Instagram? I always forget. Branded Bull Inc. Or
at Branded Bull, and then the website's brandedbullinc.com.
There you go.
That's because the guy wants $50,000 for the domain, which we refuse to.
For the Branded
We
Bull.
don't negotiate with terrorists, so I'm not even.
Are you sure it's not the almonds? Are you sure it's not the almonds?
They did a podcast. The funny thing is, really quick stories, we have access to all their domains because we worked on their website. And so I saw that on there, and I just said, this is hilarious.
The Brian's 10?
Brian's10.com.
That's a real story.
Yeah, that's real.
They really do
I
have
proof of it.
I
Yep.
know.
I made a joke immediately, but I can't remember what it was. But
just transfer that thing out, dude. They wouldn't even notice anyway. Caleb's not an IT guy. That's so. They just talked about that on a podcast that they did about a week ago, and then I talked about it the other day on a podcast with Jeremiah.
Yeah,
and they really do own Brian's10.com. I was like, you guys are snakes, bro.
They do. That's all. I witnessed it. Yep.
Isn't it funny? It's like all these 100 websites, and you're like, Brian's 10. That seems peculiar, but nothing like hosting a marriage conference. And Liz and I were like, these are the people we'd will our children to if we died.
They'd be set up. They'd be ready to go.
What? I mean, the kids?
Well, anybody. I mean, they've got they've got the domain. So
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they could set up the legacy right then and there. They wouldn't even have to work.
It wouldn't even be a speed bump in the. They would just transfer the URL. We're already set up for all of Fullerton's assets. See, like they're thinking big picture. Okay, they're playing the 100-year game. Like they say, Americans always think one generation, Italians think 3, and then I think it was like Arabs or something like that, or whatever, think like 1,000 years.
Sure.
It's something like that, and that's why or maybe it's the Jewish folks, like they think like 1,000 years. So it's like. I mean, the almonds are,
they're one step ahead of the game.
They're one generation ahead. Maybe they're Italian too, thinking 3 generations ahead. They're playing.
That's also their gambling. I guess it's not that expensive to get a domain, but they also think that you're going to be something in the future. Oh, so that's a flattery. I mean, if you do kind of a bad, if you go to Bud Light route, then that domain is actually worth less.
I'm pretty sure he's going to like re-forward Brian's 10 to like Almond's website with all their codes or something like that.
I would. I mean, why not? Why not? Put your face on there.
Unbelievable. They'll make some AI generated stuff. Like we like Caleb Almond, like my voice or something. But I'm sure that stuff's all coming down the pike. All right. Anyway, guys, if you need a website, you need branding help, marketing help, all that stuff, and so much logo design, so much more. I know Adam and Lauren, his co-founder, they do all the above. They'll be at Equip. Guys, make an effort if you don't mind. Go say hey to them in person. Like check out their booth. And they'll probably do some giveaways or some fishbowl stuff like everybody does. Throw your business card in there if you need help. Reach out to them. Also, they can go to the website to contact us. There's a submission form. There's a drop down. How'd you hear about us? Tell them Brian, and then they'll take care of you. And I think it saves $100 or whatever it is off. Get a website made. But if you want to check out what they can do, check out the new Almond Landscape website. Free plug for them. Check out brianslm.com. You can check out my website, Almond's website. I love Brilliant Borders. Dylan Stevenson.
Brilliant Gardens.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brilliant. There's another guy. Brilliant Borders. Leroy Bain's coming in. To LEL, Brilliant Gardens.
Yep, brilliantgardens.com.
That's Dylan. Great website. I saw his. I was like, dude, that's a banger. So like you can see their work and their product, right? We just talked about, and their brand before you even make a call and see if they're the right fit for you. And if you're like, hey, too expensive or too low end, which I don't know how that would be a conversation, but then you can know right or wrong if that's the guys for you. So that's what I got. Any last thoughts, dude?
No, I appreciate you having me on as always, and I'm sure I'll be on again in the near future. Otherwise, I'll look forward to seeing everybody at LAL and Equip and sharing some nuggets.
Cool. All right, man. Hey, guys, thanks for listening in. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Go out there, make it happen. Have a great day, and we look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next one.
Start planning today to celebrate the 40th Equip Exposition Trade Show this October 17th through the 20th in Louisville, Kentucky. Expo is the best place for landscapers to find the latest equipment, tools, and technology to get more productive and efficient. And then you can go into our 30-acre demo yard and test the products for yourself. Explore new business opportunities in one of our 50-plus education sessions and learn firsthand from experts in landscaping, hardscaping, irrigation, pool installation, tree care, and outdoor lighting. And don't miss the new Thursday night arena concert with Third Eye Blind and Dylan Scott. Also, there's our UTV test track and our main stage events with top-notch speakers like Brian Fullerton. And remember, you can save 50% on the ticket price with Brian's discount code. We've provided a link for you in the show description. See you at Equip.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.